Hello, welcome to the first ever P.O.G SMP video. I'm going to make this really quick because this is right after the server will officially launch and I'm sure you guys want to hop right in. It's going to be pretty informal, like I'm literally going to be reading off a script, and I'm going to try and make it as quick as possible and cover all the key points of what makes an SMP an SMP. So, on to our first point. Well, I'm glad you asked. By definition, SMP stands for Survival Multiplayer. Moving on. No, I'm just kidding. While SMP technically does stand for Survival Multiplayer, in the last year it's more of molded into its own sort of thing. See, SMPs are more commonly known as kind of roleplay servers, and while we're not literally role-playing, we're doing something along the lines of that. It's still pretty much a normal Minecraft server that has its own story that will be documented and made into videos for, preservation's sake and for entertainment, and so there's, kind of a connectedness to it all and not just a pointless Minecraft. I'll go into detail on story later, but I will specify one thing here so you don't get confused while we're going on. The story will not be written. The server's already kind of made its own lore over time. I'll go over it. But the story will not be written. Stick with me, I'll make this quick. So as announced in the recently released P.O.G SMP Direct, the old P.O.G faction newscast will be back and rebranded as P.O.G SMP. Releasing bi-weekly, they'll be covering the last 2 weeks as well as catch you up on the server's history. See, this actually started about 2 months ago and I went over a lot of history, but I stopped doing them after releasing the first one. Because of this, there's almost 2 months of server history that's completely not mentioned, and all of that is really important. A lot has happened in the last 2 months, honestly last month, a month ago, and I'll be able to catch this up so that we can get into modern times. So if anything big, scary, or crazy happens, expect to see it on the P.O.G SMP or P.O.G Factions YouTube, depending on what it's called. So now let's actually talk about the story, because that's a little bit confusing. So here's the thing. None of it will be written. When I say story, no. Let me explain. So there already is plenty of lore, history, stories, and news from the server from the past couple of months, all on its own. Because of this, the story is practically written itself. Despite the shift to P.O.G SMP, there will be no fully written story. It'll all be made up itself as you're playing, and there will be a couple new rules and a couple new things you can do that become story, but it's really still just a normal Minecraft server. If you want to have a planned war, conflict, or anything out with someone and record it, yeah, that will be story and that you can write yourself. But there won't be one whole server-wide overarching story. There's over 30 plus members and that's just not worth trying. If you have something crazy that happens or you plan something, it'll for sure be in the newscast and it'll be sure for everyone else to go see. So, just to clarify, there will be no written story, but the story kind of writes itself and will be put on the YouTube channel with tons of videos, etc. And the final main thing of the SMP, aside from the rules, the whole story bit, is canon lives. So canon lives, despite there being a written story, people can still canonically die, or die in the story. What this means is if you want your character to canonically die, as many put it, they can. If something big happens to your character, such for example, one of my old base mates was named Red Tiger. He ended up betraying me, and now I'm sure our characters have some sort of beef. For example, if he were to stab me and kill me in some big way in front of people, that might be worth being, canonical. That happened. If this happens, then only you declare, I lost a canon life. It will go in the news, it'll be part of the whole story, etc. Now, if you don't want to lose any canon lives, that's fine. You don't have to go along with this. You'll still be a part of the story, you just don't have to die. Each person can have 3 canonical lives, meaning if there's 3 big events where they died, after the 3rd one, they've officially died. That means their character has died. However, if you don't want to quit the server, of course, you could always come up as another character. I could be a ghost version of myself. I could be reincarnated. I could just I can make a whole new persona and just become a new person. It's whatever you really want. Canon lives are not necessary, but they're fun. They add more to the story, and they're just a fun thing to do. That is the wrong page. And then one final announcement before this video ends.
Me now. Quick me now. Me oh. Now me oh.